Well, guys, we have yet another problem. Watch this time lapse of the foam that we put into the ridge last night. I'm beside myself. This foam is a low expansion foam, but nowhere does it say that it's a contracting foam. And my gut told me last night when I was putting this in the ridge, like this should be expanding more. The applicator, kind of goes in a little bit stringy. And I thought, well, it'll expand and it'll all work itself out. And after I was on the phone for over an hour, I looked at the foam and I'm like, I cannot visibly tell that it has changed. It looks the same. Thankfully, we shot that time lapse last night. I loaded it up this morning and I'm like, what in the world is going on? I haven't been up to the ridge yet this morning, but two things went through my mind. Three things. One, the humidity dropped yesterday a lot. We have been hot and humid for weeks. And yesterday, the temperature cooled off about 10 degrees into the mid-90s from the mid-hundreds, and the humidity dropped. And I'm wondering if that was a factor for this foam. The second thing that went through my mind was this stuff says on the can that if overfilling a cavity could buckle some substrates. And I thought, what if it's pushing out on the sheetrock in the loft? I definitely don't see anything coming through, and it looks like the sheetrock hasn't changed. I guess in my mind I was expecting a similar performance from this foam as the draft block that we used to foam the sips. Here's an example. I'm sure that this blob, was pretty small, and then over time it expanded, right? I'm pretty sure that this gaps and cracks foam didn't expand at all. So I think it's time to head up to the ridge and just see what the reality is. Well, it did expand some. I would say it looks like an air seal, but I think there's that part of me that doesn't trust it. If I had to bet on it, I would bet, but I think the good news is there's still probably, about 4 inches or so, which we can fill with a different kind of foam, get a better seal. I know one of the issues with the foam that we've been using is that we're putting it in very large quantities, and like the label gives tack-free and cuttable times on the can, but if you read carefully, that's for a 1-inch bead that's 6 inches long. Who the heck does that? I mean, if you're foaming around faucets maybe, or electrical boxes, but in this case, we're foaming a small city. So it makes sense that the foam takes a lot longer to go through its curing process. I think there's also a risk when you put a lot of foam in a gap like this that it builds a lot of heat, because I think it's a chemical reaction that makes the foam cure. And if you put in too much foam, it can have a negative effect. When I say that it looks like it expanded, it doesn't look like it's filled the cavity any higher. What is different is that the kind of the globs of foam look like they're more meshed together. This foam here looks like it really went nuts. I mean, relative to the other foam, I would say this bead probably doubled in size. And this stuff was coming out pretty stringy, and it's probably about 50% bigger than it was when it came out of the can. And this side also expanded a bunch. But see how there's voids? That's what makes me worried, that if there's a void, I just don't feel confident that if you were to truly measure this, that you would achieve a proper air seal. The kind of sucky part is that this portion here is actually more full than the other part. And that may be because I actually misted a little bit of water on this just as a test to see if it would help. I think the fear I had was that if I wasn't careful, it would actually make the foam cure faster. So like in this area right here, I mean, we're close to capacity. We're close. There's probably still a couple inches there. I do have to say I'm really glad we did not use this product when we were sealing up our sips. Down here, it's actually really visible, the expansion. So I put a bead of foam next to these lumber inserts, and I would say it's very visible that this foam has expanded about 50%. So what do? I feel like we need a foam that's more expanding. I think the big concern here is not getting a proper air seal. So I think we're gonna have to make a trip to the store to try to find a better product. That said, we do have some of the window and door draft stop that we used on the sips. I'm just probably not the time and place to be testing products, quite frankly. It's like you get one shot at it. I gave it some thought, and I also ran this by Gaius Shelter Institute, our engineer that we've been working with. They have a lot of experience working with SIPs, and they've kind of narrowed down their product line that they really like. Their feedback was that they've had mixed results with great stuff, but this morning, this is looking way better than it did last night. So I think the consensus is we might as well use up the product that we have. It'll take us more time to probably go away, get a new product, and come back. And then we should be able to use the window and door seal stuff that we have and go ahead and burn that up. I think the two products are probably good products. There's obviously the factor at play here that I'm not an experienced foamer and have no experience with this particular product. I feel like I had time to get the draft stop figured out. So I think those two foams combined should get us what we want. We want insulation and we want an air seal. And we also want to burn up as much of this draft stop leftover foam as we can. I feel like this application method is already working way better. I think what was going through my mind last night was that the foam is going to expand a bunch, so there's no need to like very methodically apply it over the area. And now that I know that it doesn't really expand, I feel like I'm more deliberate with my application. And I feel like if I just look at this area that I've been working on, it's a very nice even coverage, and the little bit that the foam will expand will definitely seal up this area just fine. I guess while I complain about the product, a lot of it is just learning to use this product, and haven't we said this a million times before? About the time we get done with something is about the time we figure it out. So maybe the application method that we're using now will achieve the results with a lot less frustration, and so far, it feels like I'm using less product, although volume is volume, so I guess it's more perception than anything. Okay, so I can say with confidence now that a big part of the problem with last night was my application method. Just a tough lesson to learn. I wish I would have known that last night. I think it's more challenging because last night I was trying to stick those foam strips in there to use them up. And instead of focusing like kind of in stages. So now I feel like I've got a really nice bed of foam. So now I feel good about going back with chunks of this draft stop and then just foaming it in. We did just find out that our roofing is not coming today. That was the big secret. Apparently it was not on the truck because the truck was overweight. So it's not coming till tomorrow. I can't really see how that's a bad thing. We have so much work to get done. Let me knock this foaming out here and then we'll jump to the next two problems or projects we have to tackle today. I'm out of foam. Took a pretty good whack in the head. Yeah, that feels great. So I think we need to get foam to finish this project up. I'm feeling a lot better about the draft stop. It definitely expands to fill around these foam chunks. And I'm also feeling really good about using these foam chunks. I've gone through 2 of these bins already. I guess if there's blow-in insulation, this must be toss-in insulation. R value is R value, and this foam was going to end up in the landfill anyway, so kind of feels good to be using it for the ridge. Wait a second, I just spotted a last can of fire block. Oh my gosh, it's going to be really close. I finished. Ha! That last can worked because I really stretched the foam balls that we have. I do want to go back and top this whole thing with a coat of foam to bring it up to full depth. Why not have max R value in the ridge? But I don't need to do that at this moment, so probably we'll do that later today or maybe even tomorrow. We've got so much else to do today. It's a lot of work. Reusing this foam is definitely commitment. I see that now. I feel like these sips have been somewhat wasteful. It feels wasteful. I'm not saying they have been. It feels wasteful. And it feels nice to just put some of this stuff right back into use. Can't believe I'm this tired and it's like 10 a.m. I feel like working on the ridge is just like 10 times harder than working on the roof, which is 1,000 times harder than working on the ground. Plus it makes my butt hurt. So I think it's time for a hydration and food break.
Want to give her a test run?
Yeah.
I haven't tried it yet. It's pretty.
It's edible.
Edible?
Yeah. It's not as sweet as Gatorade, which is nice.
We find that when we're working long, hot days like this, we just can't drink enough water. I haven't experienced this, but Jesse finds that if he puts in an all-dayer in the sun, his legs just cramp up really, really bad. When he's drinking Gatorade, that doesn't happen. So we are the last people that think we fall for gimmicks or gimmicky things. I know like electrolyte is like a really hot word, like gets people really excited, hot and bothered. But we feel there's something to not drinking just water and trying to replace some of the stuff that we're sweating out. But Gatorade, it's our belief, there's probably a lot of nasty stuff in there. We try to stay away from stuff that has like artificial dyes, but it still does have artificial flavoring. We don't know exactly what's in Gatorade, but I did a little research and I was trying to find something maybe better. Found lots and lots of gimmicky looking stuff on Amazon, stuff that's like 0 calories. We don't like that. Like, we're okay with calories and we're okay with sugar, and especially real sugar. We don't like stevia. So we found something that doesn't have artificial coloring in it. No stevia, it's real sugar. So I guess we're just gonna try it out. We're gonna see if it's better, the same, any difference. I don't know. Hopefully it's a winner. Can I try a sip?
No.
Please, I made it.
You're not working.
That's true. I'm working on video. Very interesting. Yeah, it's not as sweet.
I quite frankly do not care how it tastes. I care how I feel.
Exactly.
So if I feel fine, if I drink that all day and I can work all day tomorrow.
Well, I think it's good in a way that it doesn't just taste like you're drinking straight up sugar, because now you're drinking it for the sugar.
Right.
But if it doesn't taste like sugar, you're actually drinking it for the benefits you hope to get from it. So.
You for breakfast and the electrolyte business.
Yep. Hope it works. I don't know.
Ask me tomorrow.
Yeah.
If I'm still in bed at noon. It didn't work. So problem number 2 is the membrane. We were going to share this with you yesterday, but we forgot. When we put the membrane on, it's put on as flat and as straight as possible. And it's really important because if there's any bubbles or anything, they don't really roll out well. We learned that with the PolyGuard, Blueskin, stuff like that. I put about 7 rows on a couple of days ago, and it looked great. By evening time, there were bubbles already showing. I call them bubbles, I'll call them ripples. That's the best word for them. Of course, it's it's jeopardizing the seal. Big risk when you run this stuff vertically, which we knew. So we talked to the representative at the company. He advised trying a broom or a squeegee to kind of pull the bubbles and ripples out. He said that's what a lot of guys in the trades do. We tried that, no dice. For whatever reason, it's like the tackiness of those areas is actually gone. And because it is tacky around it and the product is expanding in the heat, it's creating this ripple. A couple of days ago, I think, or yesterday, we rolled it with a hand roller, those specific areas, but we waited until it was really hot. And we thought, instead of working our butt off and re-rolling the whole roof, why not just do like 3 rows, let it sit in the sun all day and all night, and see what it looks like tomorrow. So we rolled these 3 rows right here, and I'm happy that they are stuck. I think the question was, do we have a bad lot? Is there an issue with the product? Or is there some other thing like poor installation or something going on here? The company has been very responsive and very helpful. They are doing research on the batch to just make sure that we didn't somehow end up with a really old batch or something that has issues. They have a quality control number on their package. In the meantime, we've been trying to make it work because, let's be honest, I don't want to have to try to rip all that stuff off the roof, right? That's not what we're trying to achieve. We want it waterproofed. These 3 rows look fantastic. I had held off on finishing the roof until that test was complete. There are still some small ripples and things. Those are actually areas where the membrane was bent or something, or it's just seams in the plywood that are a little bit different height from each other. So this whole half of the roof over here, there's still ripples. We can get up there and we'll roll those as we're putting the roofing material on. This issue doesn't seem to be as prevalent or nearly as prevalent on the east side, which tells me it has a lot to do with the baking in the sun. I think the product is great. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. And I think the reason that the roller worked and the broom or squeegee did not is that you're kind of pushing the tar properties through the membrane. It's kind of a felty type membrane core, and you're kind of squeezing that stuff out, and it's creating the good contact with the surface. We do know that this is a self-adhered product, so over time the adhesion should increase, unlike a sticky or a self-stick product where once it's stuck, that's all you get. Making the rolling even more challenging, this is the only roller we have. So we were at the hardware store yesterday looking for a larger roller, and we were unfortunately not able to find anything. And in our stubbornness, we got to looking around and realized that a paint roller looks about like a roller, and that if we were to slide a piece of 2-inch pipe over it, that looks like a roller to me. So we're gonna try this out when it comes time to roll. If we have to, we'll trim it back and make it a little bit more narrow just to keep wear and tear down on the handle itself. But hopefully this will get us fast and good adhesion.
Wow, you can tell where the ladder was on that other membrane for a couple days. need to cut a piece 22 inches wide that's going to be 354 inches long. Oh dang. $354. Here we go.
Oh gosh. Camera in my face.
You're supposed to act tired.
I am.
Can you guys see this huge bump on Jesse's face? Just kidding. It's right there. I won't poke it. But
It's still there.
oh yeah, it looks like it may have gone down a little bit, but
I'm sure the heat and sweat helps it a lot.
oh yeah, it's super sanitary and some more of this goodness ready to go.
Few to go.
Yep, 4 more.
4 to go. 3.5.
Got more waters.
That bottle right there.
Think you're good for the last 4? Take what, a couple hours?
Something like that.
We do have to go to town, probably about 4:45. There is a chance you could finish.
Yeah.
So let me know if you need anything.
Will do. Thank you.
I just sang Jesse my best cheerleading chant and it said it put a little smile on his face. 2 more. Dude, you're a freaking rock star. You're done ahead of schedule too. Wanna come down? Like something bit my ankle. We're back from town. We got 1 more can of foam. They ordered more foam, which should be in tomorrow. So can you finish the roof then? That kind of occurred.
It'll be close.
Okay.
Even if I can't, I still need to cover it because we don't want the UV getting to the foam that's in the ridge. And if it does decide to rain, which they just changed our forecast from tolerable to brutal.
Brutal what?
Heat. It was tolerable heat, and now it's back to brutal heat.
Sweet.
Yeah, way to cheer us up. It was like, it's gonna be, never mind, it's gonna be freaking
at 70s. Psych!
Psych! Ha! You thought it was gonna be July.
So,
and it's August.
You're gonna go back up and do what you can. Probably maybe not an hour.
My goal is to finish up that bin of foam.
Okay.
And that would knock out almost all the foam excess that we had, which is freaking sweet. And then all I have to do is fill in around it with the foam that we have. And it won't be much, because I mean, I'm gonna have to trim that foam.
Yeah.
It went bonkers.
Oh yeah.
That's the goal, and then cover it. So if we get rain, it doesn't get in the ridge, and then if we get sun, when we get sun, it doesn't cook the foam. And then I'm done, I quit, I'm done.
I'll pre-chill RV for you.
I want food, and I want
I told you can have whatever you want.
And I want ice cream.
Sounds good.
Pizza?
If you want. Everyone's gonna close though, so you'd have to hustle your bustle.
I know, right? We'd have to leave right now. I know. I'm not gonna get pizza. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me.
Jesse acts like I deprive him of pizza. I don't. Jesse actually, as much as he talks about pizza, likes to eat at home also. We really just love our diet, and lately we've been loving eating out of the garden. Right? I don't deprive you of pizza? You're all talk?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'm kidding. Holy moly. Got ourselves a foam cano. Wow, how funny is that? Overall, it looks pretty good. It looks like this spot kind of blew up. We'll cut that down a little bit with foam. Cut this guy down, cut this guy down. This looks pretty good. I don't feel a need to fix or change that. This all looks pretty good down to about where that bin is. This all is looking nice. That draft stop definitely does a good job expanding. Uh-oh, looks like that stuff's trying to go down the cold roof too. This all looks pretty good. Doing pretty good. Stuff's a little loose. It's all looking pretty good. A couple more foam canos. Yeah, I think just a simple layer of foam in here would be more than adequate. May not even be necessary, honestly. Like, that's already 15 inches of foam. I think more than anything, I just want to make sure the air can't really get down in there. But we've got an air seal, so I guess it doesn't really matter. I think remembering why we use insulations and for what is really important here. It's easy to kind of get caught up in the more is better theory. Of course, the air seal is probably the most important because it allows us to control the air movement in the house. And then after that, secondary would be R value to retain warmth or heat, I suppose, or coolness, I suppose. And then finally, thermal bridging, which in this case, there isn't one. We've bridged all that with foam, so long as air can't get down to the lumber that we put in at the bottom. With the SIPs, it gets in your head a little bit because it's so non-conventional or unconventional how structures are built. So you're so accustomed to having batt insulation, spray foam for an air seal, and then sheet foam for thermal bridging or thermal break. Kind of have to really think about why you're foaming, because I think it's really easy just to keep pumping money into the ridge, and whether it's needed or not, that's kind of subjective, I think. More a matter of opinion than anything scientific.
Do you guys remember in yesterday's video I picked a ton of basil? Well, I got 3 whole cups packed. So when we were in town, I got some pine nuts. That was the only thing I was missing to make this delicious, beautiful pesto. This is the first pesto from our garden, and we're so excited. We're already trying to think of how we want to use this. I was thinking put it over some chicken maybe, but I think Jesse really wants to make a pizza! So I think we might save this for that special day, and maybe we'll try to make a small almond flour crust pizza on the barbecue. I hear it is possible.
I got almost the entire rest of the ridge done, but I think we should wait until we've got more foam because I want to finish out this, probably this last less than a quarter or so. I'd like to fill that up with maybe another inch of foam, and then probably add a little bit more of our foam blobs to get that nice and full. And then I think the ridge is pretty dang good. So I think I'm gonna not plastic over that because I wanna finish it up maybe tomorrow. Been a good day. It feels really good to get this roof dried in. We need to go back and finish rolling out the roof. We may do that tomorrow. We're just kind of keeping an eye on the weather if there's any rain coming. Otherwise, we're gonna see if we can muster up the strength to get working on the metal roof. Not sure why, but all these colors of foam makes me think of ice cream. Maybe you think of calico cats, I don't know. If our ridge is nothing else, it is colorful. It's exciting. Too bad it's gonna be covered up so nobody can enjoy the craziness.